Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. This time, whom gods destroy. It's just one, whom gods destroy. But I want to make sure you didn't think I said who gods destroy. I'll tell you who gods don't destroy. Destroy. This thing it's off the rails. Just like, not really just like, Love's Lost. You're like, what is that? Is that the Lost Shakespeare story? No, it's the novel. It's a novelization of Universe Journey. It's Captain Richard Dick Kakai's story, the captain of the ASS Thrifty. He seems confident, but is he really? It's a spin-off novel of the show you've heard, you love, of Universe Journey from the It's All Been Done Radio Hour. It takes you through Kake's early days, rising through the ranks and flirting with the only woman he ever loved, Grace Thomas. Check that out. Lots of fun. Love's Lost. Also, while you're there, while you're reading, go back, check out the Quarterly Book Club. They've done what, 4 books, 5 books now? I don't know how many. They do them every quarter, but they're still out there. Go find them, read the books. Read, come back, check out the conversation Samantha's having with all her friends. For example, the latest one, the third quarter of this year of 2018, The Badass Librarians of Timbuktu by Joshua Hammer. To save ancient Arabic texts from Al-Qaeda, a band of librarians pulls off a brazen heist worthy of Ocean's 11 in this, according to the Washington Post, fast-paced narrative that is part intellectual history, part geopolitical tract, and part out-and-out thriller. Just with that assortment of programming alone, check out everything else at IABDpresents.com. Go to patreon.com/IABD and support us. And right now, listen to the Whom Gods Destroy episode of It's All Been Trekked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. The Super Skeleton crew is here.
Yeah, this is Steven.
And Jimmy-Jerome. And I don't know why people don't want to watch Whom Gods Destroy.
It's interesting that our fellow co-host crew members, they're always here for the good episodes. They're always here for the ones we tell them are going to be truly terrible. Mm-hmm. But the ones that are just kind of, they disappear.
Yeah.
Although we'll debate exactly where this one falls.
I mean, yeah. At least with Keith, he always catches up before he comes back.
He does. This is true. He does absorb. He does share the pain eventually.
But so, first impressions of Whom Gods Destroy.
As a kid, I really did not like this episode, and I'm not going to say I do like it as an adult. I found more to like as an adult.
You did?
Yeah, oddly enough. But
you have to tell me what those things are.
Yeah, I will. But overall, there's some funny parts, there are a few interesting parts, and then there's just a lot of really boring parts, things we've done before, things we've already seen, waiting in between the moments that were kind of interesting to get to the few little moments here and there. And they weren't great, powerful moments by any means. It's just kind of fun moments here and there. And I think overall, that was a big problem for me was I thought there was some humor in this episode, which would have been fine if it was a Trouble with the Tribble episodes, but they also wanted to be serious too. And you can mix those, but this, if you do it right, if you like many shows do it, many Star Trek episodes do it. This was not one of them for me.
I mean, there weren't any character moments in this episode
that
I think of. None. No great moments.
Kirk calls Spock his brother. That's about it.
That and Spock saying, well, blah, 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 but I have to agree with him. Like, very reluctantly agreeing. There could have been a moment there where McCoy's like, Scotty, you're going to kill them. And Scotty's like, they could already be dead.
Yeah.
But that was another. Skipped so briefly.
It was literally, it was literally like lines here and there that I was like, okay, that's funny. That's interesting. Yeah, because that was a good one too. And
it would have been a good one.
Why is McCoy giving phaser orders?
I mean, he's a doctor, not a phaser.
We've talked about this before, but when I know McCoy's a senior officer, but I don't think he should be giving instructions to Sulu on where to shoot the phasers.
Well, DeForest Kelly probably had a minimum number of lines per episode.
Maybe you're right.
And he was hardly in this.
He was, yeah.
So...
And and I don't know that this is a reason why this episode isn't that great, but Spock's missing for a big chunk in the middle, too.
Yeah, it's a heavy Kirk episode.
Yeah.
Not just heavy Kirk, but double
Shatner. Double Shatner. Again.
This is what, like the 5th time they've done this?
It's something like that. And, I know that became a staple of action shows from the 60s, 70s. I'm sure
now ripped Star Trek.
But that whole
I don't think Star Trek was the first to do it.
He's the imposter. No, he's the imposter. I mean, it's. I think Get Smart may have done it even before that.
So, let's talk about that scene for a minute. First of all, the guy wrestling with him didn't look like Shatner at all.
Right, so it should have been easy
to get.
Easy. And I think, as you perfectly explained, that's because his powers are fading.
Right.
To keep the... I can't remember what they specifically called his power. Molecular...
I don't remember.
Changeability, I'll say.
I thought for the first few seconds of the fight, they were avoiding the other guy's face. But then we get two, good shots of his face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? That wasn't unnecessary.
Well, actually, Nimoy, initially in the original script, Spock figured it all out with logic, of course.
Sure.
Which makes sense. But the director actually changed. He opted for action.
The director changed after a conversation with Shatner, perhaps?
It's possibly. I did not read. That's possible. And Nimoy sent several letters about two different. I can't remember the other issue. He just had an issue with the script in general. He didn't like it. And then when they made that change, he was like, "I don't like this either, and I'm going to let everybody know that I do not like this, and it doesn't make any sense." And he's right. I mean, it's not a great fight scene.
No.
Even with modern. Technology with better stuntmen and stuff, it might be interesting, but
no,
it wasn't. It wasn't worth it.
Not the story.
It's just gonna be.
It was unnecessary.
Yeah.
The whole conversation where Spock's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to give you the chess move. You're going to give me the answer." First of all, Spock wouldn't have been dumb enough to do that because, as Kirk immediately points out, rightly so, that's what he wants.
Right.
But then Spock's like, "Okay, well, what about this maneuver at this thing?" And one Kirk answers immediately. And the other one's like, well, it's a common maneuver. Okay, but...
Is that the one you used?
Right. I mean, that's a pretty big gamble to take.
Right.
Like, I'm going to answer it immediately, and I'm going to give... If I'm wrong...
It's a giveaway.
Right. Yeah. Or Spock's done a lot of missions with Kirk. Why not pick one that wasn't the obvious move?
Right. Exactly.
I feel like Spock could have easily come up with a question.
We're 60 episodes in? There's 59 adventures he could have referenced that only the real Kirk would know.
Right? I mean, what about, what happened the last time we beamed down to a mental asylum and the patients kidnapped us and took it over?
And somebody made the point, one of the things I was reading that, and actually I think Kirk eventually says it, just shoot both of them.
Yeah.
Because then Garth's he's gonna be knocked out. Just shoot both of them. You have stun.
Stunning.
You have stun. For an episode that uses the word logic about 50 times, there is almost zero logic in a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, when Garth pretended to be Spock, for a second I thought Garth was Kirk and Spock. That was Spock.
I thought he was, for a second I thought he was Marta, and then I couldn't remember, and then
Well, Marta was... We just saw Marta.
Right.
And that's why Garth couldn't have been Kirk, even though for a second I thought he was, because we just had that private scene between him and Marta.
Right.
Where Marta tried to stab him.
Right.
But if Marta had succeeded in stabbing and killing him, she would have ruined Garth's plan that he was doing with the Spock thing.
Right.
So, is that why he blew her up?
Well, that was one of the other questions.
Because it just wasn't... all they had to do was have a line like, "Oh, you tried to stab him, now we're going to blow you up," you know?
And then he's able to use a nerve pinch on her, even though he's not Vulcan. That's the other thing. So that suggests that she was playing along.
Well, we don't know if the Izar people...
Oh, they have developed their own pinch.
He's not a human. He's from Izar.
That's true.
Maybe they know the Vulcan nerve pinch.
Perhaps. But yeah, that's one of the other theories there. And I can never tell. I couldn't tell if it was, this is why she's crazy. She kills all of her. Or as Spock said, that's a perfect way to...
That was just an unnecessarily confusing sequence.
And blowing her up was unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's like, he's serious now. He killed the one woman on the planet.
Okay, but... So here's the thing I struggle with, because her disobeying Garth to try to kill Kirk, and then him blowing her up, and a bunch of those other things, every action taken by Garth or Marta that I was like, that doesn't make sense, could be explained by the fact that they're crazy.
Yeah.
So I have trouble calling those plot holes.
That's fair.
Even though were they sane, reasonable people, they would be plot holes.
That's fair.
Which doesn't mean I appreciated.
Right. It didn't. Yeah.
There are other ways to show that they're crazy.
Early on, and I think they're so, and we're using crazy very loosely or whatever, but
sure.
Because the way they talk about being, these are the 15 most mentally ill people in the galaxy.
It sounded like they were the last 15 they couldn't cure their mental illness. Everybody else has been cured.
Which is great.
Which, I don't know why they've got the intro as a counselor then, if nobody needs mental health help.
Right.
Or maybe they're just, I don't know, in 100 years later. But I don't know. It definitely feels like something that Star Trek contradicted later on.
Yeah, and I guess in the initial script, one of the things they had was him throwing the guards after they took over out into the poisonous atmosphere to die. And they decided that was too dark, so they took that out.
There weren't quite 15 of them, so I assume some of the prisoners didn't want to go along with it or were too crazy, so they killed them. But I do notice that of what remains of the 15 craziest people in the universe, only one's a woman. Yes. We have one Andorian, one Tellarite, one Izarian. The rest look human.
Yeah.
So a bunch of human males make up like half of the 15 craziest people.
And they kept calling them guards, but I guess they were inmates who were now guards.
I assume.
Right?
I assume.
Yeah. Early on when he and Marta are bickering and he's having his episodes where he's just literally crazy, I actually found amusing, like funny. If that was, and I don't mean like crazy people are funny. It was just so over the top, and it's like it just reminded me like George Costanza's parents from Do You Make Us Night Fun. Yeah. They're crazy.
Sure.
That's a funny kind of crazy to me.
They're not insane. They're crazy.
Right.
These people were insane.
In my mind, that's if that's the way the episode was going, that would have entertained me to an extent. But then we actually had to resolve the conflict, and they tried to make it serious, and it just wasn't.
I feel like
interesting to me.
If I was a little better educated on mental illness, I could make a cohesive argument on why this episode was terrible in the portrayal of mental illness and stuff.
Yeah.
Since I'm not, I'm just going to have to assume that, okay, these were the 15 particular types of crazy they couldn't quite cure, and we don't know exactly what that leads to. So even though I don't think this is a good representation of mental illness, maybe for these specific individuals.
Right.
So I find myself like stuck based on their premise of making complaints that I feel like should be complaints.
Well, to me, Garth is just like an egomaniac. He's that kind of quote-unquote crazy.
Yet another Starship Captain.
Yeah, and yet another, Jim knew and read his stuff, and he, of course, also knew the governor of the planet. Whatever, we're quibbling there. But yeah, just are there any other good Starship Captains?
Besides Kirk?
Yeah, that don't...
I mean, Pike was.
End up failing,
And then he got in an accident.
Well, and it seemed like Kirk was not surprised, but didn't expect Garth to be there. Maybe he did. I guess we didn't have time for him to...
I don't know.
To know, but
I'm not sure.
It seemed like if he knew about this captain, everyone would know that his crew mutinied on him, and he was relegated to this place. But
it occurs to me that I really liked the movie Star Trek Beyond, the latest Star Trek movie that came out as we record this, and that also has a Starship Captain that went crazy.
That's right.
But they did it better.
Yeah.
And what I like about that is it feels so much like the original stuff. But the crazy Starfleet Captain once was stretching it for me 4, 5, 6 times. The second they say it, you've lost me.
Yeah, it's just not that interesting. It'd been more interesting if he was just happened to be some other, like a Kodos or whatever, or one of those guys. Or
I don't know. I mean, the whole mental institution thing lost me too. Well, I mean, they already did another one, and
Dagger of the Mind.
It wasn't a great episode, but it was better than this.
It was. Dagger of the Mind was definitely better, and they even wheel out the same chair and.
So I showed you, like, partway through the episode, I had an Andorian action figure. Yeah. It was just labeled Andorian. But it came with that chair. Which I always wondered where that chair came from, because I don't think I've seen this episode.
Okay, yeah.
Or if I did, I forgot it, and that's fine. Yeah. This is one I have no desire to rewatch. It's just not... I think it's... The only reason this one might stick out for people is, again, you have another... we also have another Orion slave girl, Marta. Who, apparently there's only one song for all the Orion slave girls to dance. Yeah. Well, that was just the hit of the summer when this show was being filmed.
Yeah.
Played by Yvonne Craig, who's
also
famous for Batgirl, Barbara
Gordon. Yep.
In the 60s Batman television series.
Yep. That was the other reason the only thing I liked when I was a kid was that I knew she was Batgirl and I really liked her.
That would have made a difference, I think.
Yeah. But I still didn't like the episode then. But yeah.
She was also in Like Flint. She is still alive. Oh no, she died. Sorry, she died in 2015.
Yeah.
So recently. Yeah. And she still had credit. Well, she hadn't had a credit since 1990.
Yeah, she took a long break.
Except for 29 episodes from 2009 to 2011 of a television show where she played Grandma.
Oh, yeah. I think, was she just the voice?
Olivia. I don't know.
Animated, I think.
Is it animated?
I think so.
Okay.
I thought that's what
That would make more sense, because after the 70s, she's got like one credit. It is. It's the Olivia the Pig, Nickelodeon.
Okay. But yeah, I like her in the episode.
I don't. I don't like it. Sorry, I don't like anything about the episode. But no, I didn't like her. I thought of the Orion slave girls we've seen, she's by far the worst.
She was definitely number 2.
I felt like they used a lot of lighting to save themselves on makeup. Her makeup was a bit splotchy, like around the armpits and stuff. They didn't cover it correct.
Yeah, it's quite possible.
But definitely during the dance and stuff, they made sure she was green lit.
Well, I guess now we're into fashion. Her outfit was okay. I guess it's what a... Yeah. I also thought it was interesting they let everyone have their own clothes.
Well, maybe that was only after they escaped.
Maybe. That's possible. I don't know. I don't know what you would do. And of course, Key Luke, who played the governor, he was wearing the same outfit I think that the guy in Dagger in the Mind was wearing.
I noticed that as well.
Yeah, so
that's
that must
their
be
hospital outfit.
That must be
It's their version of
which I like because it's weird and it looks like a cult.
It's got like the little dove and everything. Yeah, it does.
And the hand and
So, Key Luke is most famous for Charlie Chan at Monte Carlo and the movie Gremlins.
Oh, yes, he was in Gremlins, and he was also Master Po on Kung Fu is where I knew him from.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's Charlie Chan in a bunch of Charlie Chan.
Yeah, he was one of the first, I think he was the first Chinese actor signed by RKO back in the day, contract player. He's got like 100 movie credits.
219.
Oh, well, there you go. So, man.
And he died in 1991.
Yeah.
Well, he was already 86.
I always liked him. I think he did some episodes of MASH, too. But I knew him from Kung Fu, and I loved him on there.
He was in the show Sidekicks. It looks like he did some additional voices in some animated shows. He did 3 episodes. Okay. 3 different characters. 1978, 1979, 1980, so 3 years in a row.
There you go.
Garth, what'd you think of Garth's weird... it's almost like the villain in Flash Gordon.
Yeah, it was... Bit. And I guess it was to be regal and royal.
Did you like how his boots were different colors?
I did. Yes. That was noted when I was reading. And I guess maybe it makes sense if you're, again, we have another shapeshifter, and I don't think we're done with shapeshifters, even though we don't have that many episodes to go in the original series. I think we have one or...
I thought it was a device or something, and then I guess he just could shapeshift.
Yeah, I think we have 1 or 2 more shapeshifters, and...
Well, we have a shapeshifter in the movies.
That's true.
In the last movie.
That's true.
And in Deep Space Nine, there's a main character that's a shapeshifter.
There you go. So I guess it's big in the future.
Yeah.
I guess when you can change the molecules, it makes sense you can change the molecules of clothing. Sure. You can wear whatever you want.
Absolutely.
So really, he could wear whatever he wanted, period.
And it's
it would take some energy. He'd have to...
Well, it was interesting to me just how quickly he managed to pattern himself on Captain Kirk. Like, right away.
Oh, yeah. He had it down.
Oh, I just see you, and I'm done.
Yeah,
Spock, he had a little more time. Kirk, he just saw, and boop, okay, I'm Kirk.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, right off the bat, yeah.
Yeah, other than that, the outfits, like the Endorian outfits seem to be recycled from another Endorian episode.
Yeah,
the Tellarite seemed to be recycled.
They were...
It very much felt like, okay, these are the aliens we've seen before. We're going to reuse the costumes and the makeup.
Yeah.
And they're just credited as Andorian inmate, Tellarite inmate, and the guys don't have...
And then, I think every single costume was borrowed from another episode, or if it wasn't, it sure as heck looked like it. Except for maybe Garth and Martis.
So Dick Geary, who played the Andorian, was primarily a stunt guy.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't have a picture or anything, just very... And Gary Downey played the Tellarite. Both of them have Star Trek and they're best known for.
Yeah. Gary Downey, I think,
credits.
He died in 78, I think, in a car accident.
79.
79, yeah.
At age 41.
And actually, Steve Innett, the guy who played Garth, died not much later. He was only 37 when he died.
1972, yeah.
Yeah, and he was actually younger than Kirk. He was supposed to play much older, so they put gray hair. So I guess this works in fashion, too.
And this is what he's 4th best known for, but maybe if he'd lived a little longer.
Yeah, and this comes up a lot in the original series. He also was married to a playmate.
Was he?
Yeah. His wife ended up marrying Peter Marshall from the original Hollywood Squares.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was born in the Slovak Republic.
Yeah.
He was Czechoslovakian.
Moved here when he was 5, and
no accent.
No, I didn't really dislike it. The character got boring eventually, but early on, I was entertained, and then
I felt
it didn't take long before it was. It is. I mean, it's Trelane or whoever, but just with different lesser powers and all that.
Overplayed the eruptions to me.
See, early on, I found them entertaining because to me it just felt like an egomaniac, and I thought if you kept doing that and it was just this insane, crazy egomaniac, that could be funny. But I knew it wasn't going to because obviously I'd seen it before. Mm-hmm. So, but it just struck me as funnier this time, and maybe maybe that was just me getting in a comfortable place to not hate it as much. Other than those moments, it just got real.
One of the worst openings ever.
It is, yeah.
Because he beams down, then he's like, "Oh, let me show you Garth."
Yeah.
And Garth's the
governor.
And the Orion had just warned him. Mm-hmm. You know, he's the governor, and he's like, "No, I'm not. Let me show you Garth." Oh, yes, I am. And then he turns, and like, there's just no reason for any of it. But again, they're crazy, so that's my problem with this. Other than like being able to say Spock did not act as Spock should have acted, the only real complaint we have, I mean, I can't make any other concrete complaints because you just explained that they're crazy. All I can say is I was bored by the episode. I thought it was very repetitive from other episodes, and I just did not enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's the most overriding.
Even the fashion
part of it.
Nothing. Like
no, it wasn't great.
Nothing exciting.
No, other than she was green. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, overall, it's just not it's a dull episode. And, you know, it also has all these things that are just kind of on the nose. The inmates literally running the asylum. It's Elba too, and then he references Napoleon later. You know, he's been exiled after they mutinied him. Oh, one of the things I do like, and I can't remember if they used this later, but the whole chess thing as part of a code. That part I always liked. I always found interesting.
Yeah.
And I thought that part of the whole is who's Garth, blah, 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 and who do I shoot or whatever. And that little gamesmanship kind of thing, that I actually found interesting. So that little part of it, I thought was cool. I just wish it was in a better episode.
So one of my favorite Star Trek thing, like elements, scenes, whatever, is, I can't remember, is it Star Trek 2, maybe? Where Spock says to Kirk, or maybe it's the other way around, I can't remember the exact details, but the whole days become minutes, minutes become hours, that kind of thing. And it's giving him a code immediately that he gets immediately, but nobody else gets.
Right.
Even the people listening in.
Yeah.
And that, to me, the seeds are planted in stuff like this.
Yeah.
So you're right. That's the one
that
thing
is
in this
one
episode
thing.
that I'm like, okay. And we see them do it later and in a more evolved way, which makes sense because they're older and they've been together longer.
Yeah.
But yeah. I like that they have codes. I think they should have codes more often, honestly.
I totally agree.
A lot of episodes would go much different.
They would. It's that simple. So yeah, I like that little tweak. And when we get to Wrath of Khan, that part's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
The second the code, Scotty first read up the code, I'm like, oh yeah, because last time Kirk beamed down to an insane asylum, things went wrong. So this time he learned his lesson. And he set up the code. To me, that was what that was about.
That makes sense. I think that makes total sense. So yeah, I enjoyed that part. I thought it was weird that, and again, this goes with your whole theory for the episode. When they first show all the inmates hanging out and the entertainment is essentially a wheelbarrow race, except it's just... But then, as you said, it's an insane asylum. So for them, it's like, this is awesome. Yeah. We can't judge them because God only knows what they think.
I mean, if we'd seen the Penguin and the Riddler standing in the background, I would not have been surprised. You know? It would not have felt out of place.
And this is, while we're on Insane Asylum... And this may be a kind of a Star Trek preceding things again. When they cure Garth or whatever, when they inject him, he essentially just becomes a zombie who doesn't remember anybody. And, you know, with a lot of the drugs that they use to deal with folks with dementia and everything, or who have memory loss as they get older, or whatever kind of things that get affected, essentially, you know, a lot of the drugs just end up making you spacey or drugged out, and they don't necessarily make your memory worse or erase your memory like it seems to have done with Garth, which I think is weird. Yeah, but it does make you kind of chill out and you don't get anxious about stuff, which just experience with my dad with his dementia. He would get very anxious, and they never quite got his prescription right or whatever. But regardless, I know I've read some stuff from other folks who are like, yeah, I don't know if I want to remember more stuff. I want my memory to get worse, or if I want to be a zombie. And they're like, I don't know which is better or worse. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that was kind of to them, the cure with Garth was, okay, well, he's going to be kind of mellow now and spaced out. And maybe there is a little comment there about, and I don't know what they were using really back then in the 60s. I'm sure it was whatever. Yeah, God only knows what kind of treatment, but mental health treatment either. But I thought that was interesting that they thought they again, Star Trek ahead of the curve. They kind of foresaw. The only other note I had was the double nerve pinch from Spock when they're carried away. That was impressive.
I thought
it was easy, but it was
Yeah, where he... So, what? That was another scene where I'm like, he was unconscious when they came in. They expect him to be unconscious? Because he was totally, like, conscious a second before that. They just were totally nonchalant, like, oh, he's unconscious, let's just pull him out. I don't...
Yeah, was that Spock's thing? It was like, I'm going to pretend like I was unconscious, and then I can double nerve pinch him.
I don't know, it just felt weird to me.
Like, what if they carried him the other way? Well, I guess it would have been even easier for him to do. Either way, he can get to the neck.
I did think it was very interesting that we didn't get to see Spock phasered in the opening, like where the opening scene ended. They were just confronting, and then they come back and they're dragging Spock away.
Yeah.
I thought
that was weird. Yeah,
it was weird, but I thought it was interesting. Yeah. I feel like we did not need to see it.
No.
So normally they show us stuff we don't need to see. So
they show in this episode about 40 minutes of it was stuff.
Sure, but that 10 seconds they saved us.
They did.
It could have been 40 minutes and 10 seconds we didn't need to see.
My alternate episodes. One of them was an easy one, Dagger of the Mind. The other one is, and I know I said I enjoyed this, when Garth and Marta are bickering at the beginning. It just reminded me of the Costanzas, and I was entertained by that. So the alternate episode is just their sitcom, Garth and Marta, on another planet. This is maybe after they're cured. Oh, I guess Marta, rest in peace. She would have had to have not died, but in another alternate universe, apparently, obviously, alternate episode. Garth and Marta, the bickering Izars or whatever they would be, the bickering Garths. Is he Captain Garth? Captain Garth?
Captain Garth of Izar. He doesn't have a last name. Their species, I guess, just says where they're from.
That's fair.
My alternate episode, I guess, would kind of be behind the scenes, like breaking the fourth wall a bit. But Scotty, gives him the Queen's whatever, and Kirk's like, what? And doesn't say anything. And Scotty beams him up, and he's like, oh, haha, I'm not Kirk. And Scotty's like, yeah, I know, we're just sick of Shatner. Decided you couldn't be any worse. At this point, I think a lot of them were getting pretty sick of Shatner.
I feel like in a later episode we do the chess thing again because there is
Oh, is there?
I think there are some responses, but maybe I'm just thinking of the times they played 3D chess.
I mean, you can always and that's the other thing. Like, does 3D chess have the same moves patterns? And if not, why does he say 2D chess?
I never learned 3D chess, but I think out there are the rules for 3D chess.
Yeah, I'm sure there are because they sell a set, so it would have to come with rules. Yeah,
if anyone wants to get me a gift, I would love a 3D chess set.
Yeah, absolutely. They're so expensive. But yes, I would take one as well.
That'd be cool.
Or, the company that manufactures them, if you want to sponsor the show.
There you go.
Send us.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
We'll do a whole special episode on the 3D chess set.
That would be awesome.
Absolutely. So anyway, let's rank this. Men, women, does Marta do anything for you?
I do enjoy Yvonne Craig, and I loved her as Batgirl, but who was my...
Alon of Troyes?
Oh, yeah, no. She does not.
Yeah,
you forget.
I'm keeping Dila. Who was in Wink of an Eye, which, as you and I established right before we watched I don't remember that episode at all, so I don't remember who Dila is at all. But I know I'm keeping her for Marta.
Yeah, it's the right choice.
Episode ranking. Let's start at the bottom.
Yeah.
Better or worse than Spock's brain?
I liked it better than Spock's brain.
Scott's brain. I called that debatable, but let's go up. And the children shall lead.
Everyone knows how I feel about that episode, so I would rate this above that, but barely, but not by much.
Spectre of the Gun.
Again, I know I hate Spectre of the Gun, so Keith may have to be the decision maker on this because I know you guys like that more than I did. So I feel like it's probably above Spectre of the Gun or below Spectre of the Gun.
Okay,
overall, but I would rate it below. I would rate it above Spectre of the Gun.
You would rate it above Spectre?
Yeah, we're going through my.
I mean, I'll give you Spock's brain and then the children shall lead, but I'm not giving you Spectre of the Gun.
I know you guys like that episode more than I did.
I didn't like it.
I know,
but this is a really bad episode.
What was above Spectre of the Gun?
Paradise Syndrome.
Okay, all right.
Did you stop in there?
Yeah. Hard stuff.
I think let's just. I'll give you the first two if you'll let me put it below Spectre of the Gun.
Yeah, and I know, like I said, I'm pretty positive Keith would choose Spectre of the Gun.
Yeah.
I think he actually liked that more.
Honestly, if it was I don't care enough to fight for it, and I think that's where I'm like, you just rank it because I don't care.
Yeah.
But if it were just me ranking it, I would put Below Spock's Brain. I'd put it at the very bottom of this season. I would, looking back at season 2, the worst was Catspaw. Oh, it's definitely worse than Catspaw. Season 1, Tomorrow is Yesterday. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. But right above Tomorrow is Yesterday is the Alternative Factor. And I care just as little about this episode as I care about the Alternative Factor. So I feel like for me it's still in the bottom 3 of the series.
For all the long gaps of dullness in this episode, I'm definitely fixating on the 5 minutes I liked early on.
Okay. Well, I won't fight you. You can put it third from the bottom.
And it's a weird thing. Like Tomorrow is Yesterday and Catspaw. Like Tomorrow is Yesterday tried to have some. They have the Keystone Cop stuff when they're down on the planet and all that.
Doesn't matter. Tomorrow is Yesterday for me.
No, it's just
because of how poorly constructed the plot was, and how little sense anything made.
And it just wasn't interesting.
And if the characters in this episode were sane, I think I would be arguing for this to be that low. But because they're not, I feel like. So next week we will be talking "Let That Be Your Last Battlefield," which will be our live episode from OGP's West Grandview Film Festival. And that's when the Enterprise encounters 2 duochromatic and mutually belligerent aliens who put the ship in the middle of their age-old conflict.
Yeah.
This is the black on the one side, white on the other.
I'm curious to see how this holds up or doesn't. I know there's that's just the little I've been reading on lately and just looking at random top 10, bottom 10. Mm-hmm. It's polarizing might be too strong a word, but there are definitely people like, that episode was awesome, but people are like, that episode's terrible. And I think I'm probably somewhere in the middle, but closer to not liking it. But
I don't think I've seen this one.
Yeah.
This is one I always meant to see because it seemed interesting to me. And it's got Frank Gorshin in it.
Yeah. Again, we have another Batman person.
Which, every time a Batman person comes in, I see that as a positive.
I do too.
Honestly.
I do too.
So
and as much as the stuff was on the nose in this episode, with the inmates running the asylum and Elba 2 and all that stuff, that one is very
I get the impression this one's pretty heavy-handed with its dealing of racism.
Yeah.
And yet, at the same time, just through the framework of the 60s, the fact that they would even try to tackle a story like that.
Heavy-handed, but on the other hand, and we'll see because I haven't seen it in a long time, but also in a way, also just like pointing out the absurdity of racism, period.
Right.
And taking it to its most logical, not logical, but most extreme stupidness.
I mean, just the clip I've seen where the captain's like, what's the difference between you? And the guy's like, can you not clearly see? I have black on my left side, well, I guess black on his right side. It's a cheesy, ridiculous line, but at the same time, I feel like it's one that should be said, especially back then.
Yeah.
But even today.
Yeah.
Like,
That particular moment, we'll dive deep into that, though.
Yes, we will. At our live show.
That's right.
It will have already been recorded by the time you hear this, unfortunately, so we can't push it to come out. And not to break the fourth wall, but our rankings of episodes might get a little off here because we're recording a couple more before then.
This is true.
So, for you guys, that's next week. For us, we got a few weeks, so we're going to do some other ones. And unfortunately, with Trouble with Tribbles, where we just kind of did that one out of order, but with the rankings, I felt it was fairly straightforward because we did it early.
Oh, that's true.
This one we're doing late, so it won't be as easy to... So I think we're just going to have to do the rankings, is put that in the rankings where we get to it versus, unfortunately, where it falls in this order. So that might get confusing. I apologize. Yeah. Until then, don't beam down to any insane asylums.
No,
that's just a standard rule.
Just send security down.
Mm-hmm.
They're just delivering medicine anyway.
I mean, if you want to live long and prosper, you should not beam down there.
No. But live long and prosper.
Sure. As long as your queen's now Steven, your queen knight to 3 rook, whatever.
Queen to queen's level 3.
It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?